Happy Wednesday, my sweet peaches. How are you? I am driving home from dropping my children off at school this morning, and I have a couple of meetings scheduled with my clients, one at 10 a.m., one at noon, and then I have work to do for clients as well. Today is day 11. Is it day 11? Day 11 of the Karen Reed trial. And I will be watching and making my notes and comments and then making a video about it throughout the day. But most likely I'm going to have to do catch up in the later afternoon so that I can get all my work done and prioritize my paid clients. Again, thank you so much. Let me reflect. Thank you for being a member. I so appreciate you. And A. Rodriguez, thank you as well. And there was one other name which I'm not remembering off the top of my head. Thank you, Jimbo123. Just for being here and commenting consistently lately. I really appreciate the engagement. It helps so much. And it does help get more people to view my video when people are commenting and liking and sharing. So if you can like the video, share the video, subscribe to my channel, it makes such a big difference. And I really, really appreciate you. And don't forget to leave comments and questions because I love that engagement. So I'll be home. I'll be home in a few minutes. And then I gotta start getting ready for my day. Jump in the shower and get dressed. And then start working for my clients before my meetings. And it's a beautiful day. And it's gonna get to be 72 degrees Fahrenheit today, which is nice and warm, but not too hot. And it's supposed to be a full day of trial. So as I was saying, because I have so much work to do, I'm going to have to, catch up watching behind, and then making my videos. So hopefully I'll be able to post this video tonight, which is Wednesday, May 7th, 2025, day 11 of the Karen Reed trial. My neighbor pulled up as she always does when I do. All right, time to get in the house and start getting to work. All right, guys, enjoy the video. Hello again, sweet peaches. It's 9:40 a.m. This is so bright right now. It is hurting my eyes to try to leave it on. Well, let's see, I can try to leave it on. So how are you? What did you think about today's trial? My gosh. I am going to turn this off. Sorry if it's too dark and I'm blurry. Let me reflect left a message 5 hours ago. Thank you so much. You said, looking forward to your notes on today's Alessi fiasco. All right, maybe that light is better. And I replied, fiasco is a great description. Cringe fest, LOL. All right, so what I did was I took notes, and I will read my notes. And let's see, this was Tuesday. I said at the end of Tuesday, I was like, they should sue Karen. And I was like pissed at the chat. So what I did today was I took note of all the witnesses, and then when Jessica Hyde was testifying, I thought, oh, let me get real quick what they're going to ask her. That'll be interesting. And then they kept her on the entire day. The entire day. Like, oh my fucking God. So the TLDR, the too long didn't read. My opinion is, wow. You spent all freaking day to try to prove that Jen McCabe searched for how long to die in cold at 2:27 a.m. Even though Celebrate removed that timestamp saying that it was confusing and inaccurate. By the way, sidebar, this is a new tank top. It's actually like for men. So it's like a little big holes and there's zero spandex. It's 100% cotton. So there's like zero bounce back or stretch. I guess it's just going to be for around the house or like under something. Anyway, I'm just noticing how funny it looks on the video. But whatever. So actually, I will change it to this cute shirt. Oh, I gotta button it. There, this is a super cute shirt and it has little shorts that go along with it. It's actually like kind of heavy, so I haven't ever really worn it because, I don't know, the material's a little bit too like heavy if I'm gonna wear short sleeves. Anyway, I'll wear this instead. So Tuesday, let's see, and so today, in order not to have to keep going back and forth and losing my spot, I just used one side of the page. Okay, now that I'm situated, the TLDR for me for the day, the takeaway, what I genuinely felt, and again, I'm not a lawyer. I am just a person who's interested in this case, who enjoys watching it. I did watch it. I watched most of the day on Boston 10 on YouTube, and then I finished up because it like just cut off. And then I finished up watching on Law and Crime. And I'm finding personally the way I like to do it is what I'm enjoying is not listening to anybody else. And actually what I normally do, I don't know if I should say normally, but what I have been doing in the past is I would watch the trial, usually with Emily streaming it, and then I would listen to Peter Tragos, lawyer and I would listen to his opinion. And if Natalie Lawyer Chick was streaming the trial or talking about it, I'd listen to what she had to say. Then I would listen to Lawyer Lee. But this time with this trial, I'm actually trying to be, I can't really say I'm trying to be more of a juror. Ow, my back all of a sudden was hurting. I'm just going to do a little self-massage. Oh, I use my tool, one of my wood therapy tools. I won't say I'm trying to be like a juror, truthfully, because a juror is not meant to do online research, and a juror is not meant to, you know what I did? Like, I went to Google Maps. And I did all that viewing of the neighborhood and close up and getting the distance from the flagpole to the front door and the size of the lawn and trying to get a ratio size of how big would John's body be on the lawn compared to how far it was away, and all the other factors, like it was nighttime and it was a blizzard and it was cold, it was freezing and it was late and they were tired and they'd been drinking and they wanted to get home and they weren't looking for a dead body on the lawn or a man laying down or anything like that. So I also will say I'm starting to not even pay attention to people in the chats because I could be wrong. I've been wrong many times, and I will continue to be wrong many times, and that's fine, and that's how you grow and you learn. By the way, just to show you what I'm doing, I am digging this thing into my back. Because I've been on the computer forever. So, if you don't mind me giving myself a little self massage while I do this, you know. So, I just lost my train of thought. Hold on, let me get my thought back. That's right. I'm starting to think that a lot of people in the chat, the pro-Kareners, are not representative of, like, with the average person. I don't know, some people take offense at the word cult, but when you've got a group of people who refuse to be discerning and they only listen to talking points, when everything that you think about a situation is based on talking points that don't change unless the leader changes the talking point, not because of science or data or facts or evidence or witness testimony or videos or, photos that you could see with your own eyes, but, because the leader decides to change the goalpost or whatever, and you just go along with whatever, then you're likely in a cult. And if you believe something about, like, what I feel about my opinion, other than the fact that it's great, but what I feel about my opinion in this particular case, I'm trying to crack my back and my neck, and I'm putting my arm behind me, and I'm pressing it so that I can get a stretch. What I feel, I know this is not the typical way that somebody talks, but it's like, I gotta fucking do this, and I want to get these thoughts out, because tomorrow's another day of trial. And I am trying to do like a video about each day. I might not do a video every day, but I do want to cover every day of trial. So, because of the fact that I came into learning about this trial completely neutral, I'm still neutral. I don't have nothing to gain if she goes to jail, nothing to lose if she goes to jail. I have nothing to gain if she gets found not guilty. I have nothing to gain if she gets found guilty. I have nothing to gain if she's found guilty of counts 1, but not 2 and 3. Well, you can't do that. I have nothing to gain or lose regardless, except maybe a few subscribers on my little tiny channel, which I'm steady growing because I enjoy talking about things I'm passionate about. And the $14 a year I get. I'm going to try to make this one a bit shorter today. So, back to what I was saying. My ultimate opinion about Jessica Hyde. Oh, that's what I was saying. That my opinions, I feel, are sincere, unbiased, and based on what I've observed from the witnesses, the things that they've said, their demeanor, the story, or their testimony, I should say, and the stories from the defense side, which seem to me to be stories. What I get from it, like a general bird's eye view feeling, is that all of these prosecution witnesses that the pro-Karen people claim are liars, or some kind of criminals who, they got rid of their phones, and they fixed the basement floor, and they got rid of the dog, and it's like all of these things that could just be parts of, like, living. People get their basement floor fixed. Sometimes people do rehome their dogs even after they've had them for a few years. It does happen. You'd like to imagine that adopting a dog is for life, and maybe the dog did attack somebody and they were like, we don't want to have this dog because, we don't, whatever, for whatever reason. My thing about the dog theory, which I've talked about this in other videos, like, with the whole Dr. Russell thing, and is she going to testify to that it's a dog bite, and then are they going to have a counter dog bite expert? But the fundamental point that I think is getting missed is that even if it was a dog bite or dog scratches, it wasn't fatal. Those scratches were not fatal. So to take the fact that there's scratches on his arm, which I do believe, if Brennan is going to bring it out, okay, because in trial 1, Lally said there was a shirt that had pieces of plastic taillight embedded in the sleeve. But I don't remember them actually ever showing that piece of evidence, that photograph or anything. And I don't remember them driving it home. I know that he said that because I didn't make the fucking thing up. Just like he talked about potentially Karen Reed having deleted Ring camera footage from when she first got home at 12:36 a.m. with the broken taillight. And then the moment when she had gotten out of the car and shown the taillight to Jen and Carrie, which they both testified to, but the defense was like, but there's no video. But the prosecution had said, yeah, we think Karen deleted that video, but they never actually proved it, which I felt like they never actually proved that there were pieces of taillight in his sleeve. They said it, but I don't remember seeing it definitively. So today, let's see, this was today, Brennan, Wednesday, May 7th, 2025. At 9:28 a.m., I said Trooper Keith was called by Brennan. Evidence processed from the lawn search. Yannetti asked him about his interview with Sarah Levinson. Oh, by the way, to interrupt myself, I wrote a bunch of notes about my thoughts throughout the day, and then, not that many notes. I wrote a little bit of notes about my thoughts, and then it went to Jessica Hyde, and it stayed on Jessica Hyde. So I'm going to read my notes, and then I'm going to give my opinions, and part of why it's so late, it's 10:04, so I'm probably not going to put this out until Thursday. But I ended up screen recording about 2 hours and 15 minutes of today because I wanted to just get some clips of what I thought was the most interesting. And then I thought, well, like, is Jessica's stuff that interesting? But then I was like, oh, I want to hear what this is about, because they were going to... The whole thing is that they were trying to... I feel that the defense had her on all freaking day to try to discredit the report and her expert testimony that the 2:27 a.m. How's Long to Die in Cold search on Jen McCabe's Celebrite extraction. So Jessica has said, through her very detailed, extremely complex, expert level knowledge, skill, and explanation, that basically the TLDR is Jen had the tab open on Safari searching for the Hackamole basketball that her daughter's game was or something. And then she had another tab open also at 2:27. So the 2:27 search for the basketball thing was on one tab. Then on another tab at 2:27, Jen was searching the Weather Girls It's Raining Men video. So the defense would have you believing that Jen McCabe is dancing to It's Raining Men while Brian Higgins, her husband Matt McCabe, and Brian Albert, along with her sister, are killing John O'Keefe, beating his ass to death in the basement with her nephew calling Albert. And she's singing and dancing to It's a Raining Man. Hallelujah, it's a raining man. Amen. And then they beat him to death and they drag him outside into the snow. Oh, and Jen says, wait. While you're beating him to death, I got a great idea. Why don't we put him out on the lawn exactly where I saw Karen Reed drop him off earlier? And then when she calls me at 4 o'clock in the morning, hysterical, looking for him, I am going to tell her. I'm going to tell her somehow. I'm going to get her to believe that she hit him. And she's going to be so drunk, she's not going to know what the fuck is happening. So I'm going to say, Karen, you hit him. And then she's going to be like, I hit him? Could I have hit him? Did I hit him? And she's going to run around telling everybody that. And then she's going to do like interviews where she's going to tell people that she was so terrified, expecting to find him on the side of the road. And they framed her to do all that. Right? Somehow they convinced her to tell the world. She thought she could have hit him. I mean, he was right where she left him. Okay, anyway, back to Trooper Keith. Yannetti asked him about the interview with Sarah Levinson. He didn't remember. Then he refreshed Trooper Proctor's memory with a report that he wrote. He retrieved It was Trooper Proctor who wrote the report. Yannetti mentioned Trooper Proctor a lot. Like he just couldn't stop saying, and Trooper Proctor was the lead, and Trooper Proctor did that, and Trooper Proctor decided this, right? And he was like, I also wanted to mention that I've seen a couple of people saying in the chat things like, you're just looking at the prosecution to save you. And, but what I noticed about this witness as well as Jessica Hyde is not what I would say they are looking to the prosecution to save them, but it's almost as if they're an expert witness who understand when a question is being asked that's inappropriate, and they know, they just know, oh, that's just about to be objected to, because nope, that's about to be objected, sustained. So they it's like an instinct. The question comes and they look over at the prosecutor because they know that the prosecutor is about to say objection, when it's about to get sustained. Again, not because they're all the blue wall of corruption, but because when you do follow the law and you understand trials, and this is another thing. Oh, my 10 minutes is almost up. I'll have to do the next clip coming up in a moment. So I ended up screen recording 2 hours and 15 minutes of today because I found it fascinating, but I also felt like there was this really interesting moment when Jessica replies, that's not a valid question, sorry. When Alessi was asking her, I'm jumping around a little bit because I was talking about Trooper Keith, but I'm talking about Jessica now. Alessi was trying to get her to admit that the hash code was unsigned, had no signature. So he was asking her about, weren't there unsigned hash codes? And she said, well, that's not how we refer to it. Hash codes don't get signed. There's Adobe PDFs that get signed that could be unsigned. And then he was talking about Whiffin's report, and she's like, I don't know about Whiffin's report. I didn't, I'd have to look at it. I'd have to analyze it. And then he's like, well, didn't Whiffen say there were unsigned hash codes? And she's like, well, that's not how the industry refers to those things. Hash codes are not signed, but it would be an Adobe PDF that could be unsigned. And then, like, he kept pushing and he kept asking. And then at one point she was like, that's not a valid question. I'm sorry. And she said, I do think that I remember Whiffen mentioning an unsigned Adobe PDF. And he's like, aha! It's like, okay. And then there was this other really crucial part, which I feel like was the crux of everything that Alessi was trying to get into the jury's mind, which is that because she didn't have the Apple code, she can't do a legitimate examination of the data. And she was trying to explain to him that, like, she's like, there's 3 different concepts that you're talking about right now. One is the code, another is the tools, and then the third thing is the analysis of the data that you would get from those tools. And he was trying to conflate that because Apple code is locked and she can't have access to that, therefore she cannot do a true and thorough and valid analysis of the Cellebrite data, the Axiom data, or I think there was some other tool, I don't remember the name of data. And she was trying to explain to him that he's basically like conflating these totally unrelated concepts to try to discredit her, my words. And he was doing that as well. So at some point the jury is out, they're on a break, and he is trying to, I don't know exactly what it was that he was doing. It wasn't a voir dire and it wasn't a Daubert, because he was saying she's been Dauberted. And then Brennan was like, he's dehumanizing her, speaking about her that way. And then Alessi was like, I'm not trying to dehumanize her. I apologize. We use that word Dauberted as shorthand, but I'm not trying to dehumanize her. But, he basically wanted to attack her credibility because there was a case in Maryland in March of this year where some aspect of something was determined to be not what, was something. And Brennan was like, this case, basically, again, trying to take something from over here and put it over here and make it seem like it's something that it isn't, which is what I genuinely believe the entire defense case is about. Trying to take little tiny nuggets of something that looks fuzzy, or to somebody who doesn't know, or somebody who doesn't understand the data, or somebody who doesn't know, exactly what's going on, to take a small thing and conflate it. Like I said, that photo with the red strings and, is anything really what it seems to be, but isn't what you're trying to make it seem? All right, I'm not trying to make fun of anybody, but okay, so back to my notes. Let's see. Yannetti mentioning Trooper Proctor a lot. Then Jessica Hyde came out. Alessi tried to be allowed to discredit her. She's a digital forensic examiner and educator. At 1:51 p.m., I wrote, seasoned witnesses know when an objection is coming. And a correct response, and they glance at the prosecution again, not because they're, like, save me, but because they literally know that is not a proper question. Oh, and then there was one question that Alessi asked her, again, trying to discredit something that she had said, and her response was, on what basis? And then she said, Roger that a couple times. This is what the phone registered, 84 steps after. So that, I think this is like the pirouette versus the, did he go into the house? Did he go up the stairs? And it seems as if the prosecution believes that those 84 steps that could have been him on flying across the wherever, was it him walking into the house and then getting beaten up and dragged back out? Or was it him getting hit by the vehicle? Was it him fighting with fighting with, see, that's what some people think. Was it him fighting with Karen in the SUV? Was she trying to grab his phone, and like they were going like this, she was grabbing his phone, and he's like, she's trying to grab it from him, like, who the fuck are you calling? Who are you texting? And he's going like this with the phone, like this for a minute, and then he gets out and takes the glass from the bar with him, that she said so. Is that what happened? Jen McCabe's phone. Okay, so then he switched from talking about the seconds that were registered, and she was explaining that the reason that she ended it at 12:31 instead of 12:32 was because the phone registering movement is not the same thing as actual user interaction, in the sense that anybody could be moving the phone and it could be on anything. It doesn't tell you he was walking. It just means something, the phone was moving somehow. That's what it tells you. Okay, this is a long ass questioning to prove BS, is what I thought, because I ultimately do believe that Jen McCabe did not search how's long to die in cold at 2:27 a.m. Why? Because at 2:27 a.m. she was looking at something for her daughter and looking up a video, a festive, fun, cute song. And she talked about somebody like would drink, and then her sister, she said her sister was, drink a little bit much and then start singing that song. And it's believable, and it makes sense to me that the reason that timestamp was there was because of all of the things that they technically explained, how tabs open, and then if you don't close them, they just hover, and then it has a timestamp from when you opened it, and then it just makes like a, what did she call it? She called it digital artifacts and data points in forensic analysis. So another reason why I think that it's pretty redonkulous, in my opinion, to believe that Jen McCabe had Googled that. Well, a couple. One is that it has the same exact typo. That doesn't make sense. Two, at 6:24 a.m., exactly 60 seconds later, she searched how long to die in KLD. So wouldn't it make logical sense in your mind that if she was searching how's long to die in cold at 6:23, and then how long to die in KLD because it was cold, or she said she was nervous, and Karen was like shaking her, like, Google this. So there's two searches, one right after the other, 2 minutes But somehow y'all believe that Jen McCabe actually was searching that at 2:27 a.m. because so John was dead. They all had brought him somehow, got him right on the same spot. Jen was this mastermind who wanted John dead for no known reason that anybody has been able to point out why she would want her friend dead. And she wasn't going to get any money from him. He didn't know any information about her that if it came out that it would bring her down. People are claiming that he knew about corruption, but in the police department, and I guess because wait, is Matt even a cop? Let's see. His specific occupation has not been officially disclosed in court proceedings or major news reports. Some online discussions suggest he may work in information technology, IT, and possibly runs a recruiting company for IT professionals. However, this has not been confirmed by authoritative sources. So he's not a cop. So I guess the fact that her sister's married to a cop is supposed to be the reason why Jen is going to throw her entire life away to frame a woman for murdering Jen's friend. It doesn't occur to people that maybe Karen didn't want to go up into that motherfucking house because she didn't want Brian Higgins to be like, oh, it's you. Oh, it's you and you. Huh, isn't that awkward? And John would be like, why, what's awkward? Or, maybe she thought, oh, Brian won't blow my cover. But what if he does? What if Brian, who's already expressed uncomfortableness about how she's reaching out. How'd you get my number? How'd you get my number? Why are you texting me? What do you want? Don't you have a man? I thought you were happy. Does he know you're texting me? Right, what about all that shit? No, you can just conveniently forget about all that and twist it into your, like I said, Netflix season 10 plot line, jump the shark 8 seasons ago, and Brian Higgins is a murderer. Like, I don't know. And so he got rid of his cell phone at an FBI place. Well, could he have been hiding the fact that he killed John on his cell phone and now we'll never know? I guess so. Or, maybe it's sensitive data from many cases that he's done over the years and he thought, well, it's time to destroy this data because I'm getting a new phone. Maybe he really was. I genuinely believe that if there was anything that they were hiding, it was like talking shit about Karen. And not talking shit like, oh, we got her, we're going to frame her, we're going to put this all on her, we're going to pin this all on her. No, not that, but like, what a fucking psycho bitch she is. What an unhinged fuck. Maybe he was telling them all, my God, she was trying to fucking fuck me for a whole month. From the moment they got back from Aruba, she got my number. She reached out to some mutual person that they know and got his number without his consent. He wouldn't reach out to her. He wasn't like, hey, Karen, I want you, even though you got a man who's my friend. I want you. He didn't do that. She went behind John's back and behind Brian Higgins' back to get Brian's number. And he's like, this is suspicious. That's suspicious. Don't be suspicious. Don't be suspicious. And fuck Jenny Slate, by the way. Anyway, now. That's a Blake Lively. Justice for Justin. So fuck Jenny Slate. Okay, I'm trying to look at these notes. These are not the notes for you. These are my work notes. Yeah, so my thought, the too long, but listen to the whole thing version is, what a reach, what a stretch, what a cringe fest of hobbled together, trying to patch together. Like, I will say, the defense, they're defending. They are coming up with every loose thread, every possible strand of spaghetti, every split end, every, dingleberry dangling in the butt crack of possibilities. They're smearing it all over. They are stretching it out, magnifying it out, expanding it, times 10ing it. They are injecting steroids into it. They are, stretch that shit out. Like, god damn, talk about trying to fucking, they're saying, look, I'll show you one of my, I got these silicone thimbles for sewing. Okay, these little silicone thimbles. It's like they've taken one of these and trying to cover the whole fucking world with it. Like, I don't think that's going to fit. Anyway, that's what I'm saying. I think David. Ew, David. Now, some people in the comments, Paula. Hi, Paula. Paula and Jimbo123 have expressed concern that the jury's not doing what they're supposed to. The jury's coming home at night and listening to YouTube videos and researching it and all this. I personally, yes, of course, there are, witnesses that are planted, and sometimes witnesses are just vigilantes who decided that they're going to take justice into their own hands because they have an opinion and an agenda, and they're like, fuck listening to the evidence. I made up my mind, and I'm going to lie my ass through the jury selection process to make them think that I'm a good juror, and then, when we get to deliberations, I'm going to drop the bomb. Not guilty, and I won't budge, or guilty, and I won't budge, whatever their agenda is. Of course that exists. And also sometimes one side or the other will find a juror that can pay off, where it's not a vigilante or somebody who just truly believes in whatever position, but actually somebody who was paid to pretend to be a legitimate juror, and ultimately they're not. And they're gonna, there'll be that the one to make it a mistrial or whatever it is. And of course that exists. But I do genuinely believe that just like most people are good people, most people don't want to commit crimes. Most people don't want to perjure themselves. Most people don't want to do illegal things. Lots of people do. Not most people, I would say not. The majority of people are not criminals. There are some criminals, that's true. And there's also people who just have different opinions. Like there's somebody who might not be a criminal and they just genuinely think. It's so late now, it's 11:01 p.m. So, just to continue with the thought that I do believe, for the most part, most jurors want to do the right thing. They take it seriously. They're not looking at things on the internet or reading articles or watching the news about it or checking things on social media or TikTok or Instagram or YouTube. Why? Because they're specifically told not to. It's part of being a juror, and in fact, you will immediately be tossed, and you could even get into some legal trouble if you're found out doing that stuff. Jurors are not allowed to discuss the case with each other at all until both sides rest their case, closing arguments have been said and done, and they are then told to go deliberate. And they're also only allowed to deliberate in the deliberation room. So all these weeks while they're hanging out, having lunch, having breaks, all of everything, They can talk about their personal lives. They can talk about the shows they like, the movies they like. They can talk about freaking politics if they want to. They can talk about their cars and their kids and their grandkids and their dogs and their cats. And they can talk about their vacations and the books they're reading and all the shit. They can talk about their grown kids and they can talk about their dreams and their college and their classes. But they don't discuss the case. They don't ever discuss the case. And they also, it's a good faith system. But it's also a I will rat your ass out system. So the way it's set up, the jurors are expected. So they're asked every morning, and then at the end of every day, they're reminded. They're asked, did you look at any social media? Did you read any articles or, listen to any news? Were you exposed to anything on social media? Were you inadvertently or on purpose exposed to anything about this case outside of these walls in the courthouse? And they have to answer yes or no, and they have to be honest. If they lie, they're perjuring themselves. And it's true, people are rarely prosecuted for perjury, but that doesn't mean it's not a deterrent. That most people who are law-abiding citizens, the thing is that most people take it seriously and they do a very good job of listening and contemplating and deliberating, because most people want due process for themselves as well as for their neighbors. Most people want, which is so crucial now more than ever, most people want a system that is going to treat them as if they are innocent until proven guilty, and that their side has every right to present whatever fucking ludicrous defense it is within the bounds of admissible evidence, and go for it. If you want to build a house of threads that are pieced together with a wing and a prayer and a wish and a Hail Mary and I hope you're fucking gullible and drinking the fucking Kool-Aid, and maybe this one likes white women and this one hates cops, and somehow they can patchwork together hobble together a jury who will, the best case scenario, if they can't get 12 jurors to say not guilty, which I don't see, that I don't believe there's 1 second of a chance that they're going to get 12 jurors to agree not guilty on all 3 counts. There's no way. There's just no way. There's just way too much evidence that something amiss happened. Did she do it on purpose? I still haven't gotten to that. I have not gotten to any certainty. What the text messages and the calls make me think is that, again, it's like, if she thought he went into the house, why would she call him 30-some times? I mean, she called him, it was 52 times, but I'm saying 30 because it was like around the first, she stopped at 1:18. She stopped for 3 hours and 20 minutes. She stopped the calls. Did she pass out for a little while? Was she, busy deleting Ring camera footage? Contemplating what she was going to say? Formulating? But the thing is, if she really thought that she hit him, because she literally was calling him, if the prosecution timeline is accurate, what I think happened, if it's accurate, is that, they were fighting all day long, and, she wanted to see him, and I guess he wanted to see her too, kind of, and so she joined him at the bar, and then she did not want to go into that fucking house, because why would she want to go into a house? First of all, she was probably jealous as fuck of Carrie and Jen, because they were real close with John and, had these long-standing friendships, and they had kids that were friends with his kids, and it was like a whole big old close coochie crunchy family. And she did not like that because she wasn't part of it. And I don't even know why she was dating John, because it was obvious she did not want kids. And Like, why are you with this man? Leave this man alone. Let this man go be with fucking Ashley, Bella's mom, or whoever the heck he's right for, but, like, why are you torturing this man? Those are my thoughts. And trying to cheat on him, which I truly, in my soul, believe that she was doing that whole thing with Brian Higgins as a revenge plot. I think that she felt insecure. I think that maybe those Aruba women really got under her skin, and so she was like, you know what? Fuck you, John. I can get a man. I could get your own friend. And I think she was trying to set up Brian as a patsy just to make John jealous. And I think that she was also using Brian to make herself feel better because, he obviously was kind of like, well, I would be into you if you were single, and like, if it's okay to date you, I would date you. Like, that's what I was getting out of it. Like, well, I would if I could, but can I? I don't really know about this. And then this is the part where I'm not being like a juror in any way, because I watched the whole first trial, which they can't do. If they watched it, they shouldn't be a juror. If they answered the questions honestly during the jury selection process, can you hear that? Loud motorcycle guy. Then they would not be on the jury right now. So again, maybe there's a fanatic who's just like, I will set her free. Or maybe there's a fanatic who's like, justice for John O'Keefe. Or maybe somebody from the defense side paid off a witness. Or maybe somebody from the prosecution side paid off a witness, which would be, the defense paying off a witness is extremely corrupt. But the prosecution doing it is like Nazi shit. Like one thing that Emily D. Baker says, who used to be a prosecutor, and I do agree with her on this point, which is that the defense has a lot of leeway to scream and yell and be like aggressive with witnesses and to push and, even what they were doing. Like, what I truly believe is that they are fighting tooth and nail. They are doing everything they possibly can. Any little snag in that fucking carpet, they are like, like they were like, oh my God, 2:27 a.m. This is the thing. And it's like every little thing like that. Again, the solo cups in open air bags and the leaf blower, unconventional and not making reports. Although it does seem like they have a system where the head person is the report maker and everybody else kind of reports to that person. And then the head person is in charge of making the report. Or sometimes the person in charge is responsible for making sure all the other people make their reports. But I don't know, is it elusive, shady answering of questions to avoid and evade responsibility, or is it just like, again, a lot of these questions seem like, well, you're asking, like Jessica said, I'm sorry, that's not a valid question. Like, you're trying to make it seem like something nefarious or amiss is afoot or happening by asking this totally weird question that's not even a valid question. And I feel like that's the whole case that they have. The word conflate means to combine or blend two things, especially texts or ideas, into a single whole, or to confuse or mistake one thing for another. While, combining and blending, confusing, mistaken. It says this more recent meaning implies a failure to distinguish between two things, often resulting in a misinterpretation or a misunderstanding. The word often carries a negative implication, suggesting that the blending or the confusion is not accurate or intentional. So I think that this whole case, what is this? Oh, it's like a piece of tinfoil for my vegan yogurt. And then limited tolerance for. And then I have my apples, and I have some sunflower seeds over there, and this very phallic looking thing, but it's not. It's just a massager, a wood therapy massager. And so the conflating, it's like every little thing, you know, that's what I'm saying. They jumped on every little, and I think in that way they're amazing, fantastic defense attorneys, that they were able to comb through with a fine-tooth comb to get every little speck of, you know, like any discrepancy, anything that they could conflate and make it seem like something it isn't, you know, make it seem like something it isn't. That's what I feel like this whole case is about. Make it seem like something it isn't, when what it is that Karen Reed somehow clipped John, and he somehow cracked his skull, and he was out there. I believe that he was out there the whole night, that somehow he flipped and he landed on his phone, and I would lean toward, well, something like if they can prove that she deleted the Ring camera footage, then that takes it to like a whole nother level. Because it's one thing to accidentally hit someone and you don't know that, and then, like, if it were true that he got out, she thought he was walking into the house, she just fucking pulled off and accidentally hit him and truly didn't know, and that's why she was calling him and calling him and calling him, because she was so pissed that he decided to go into the house, even though she was calling him a pervert and saying that your niece is laying here beside me and you're fucking another woman, you pervert. All the while he was dead on the lawn. But if she was deleting Ring camera footage, then she knew he was dead on the lawn. So again, was she leaving those crazy voicemails because she was trying to make an alibi, as if she was just calling him because she was worried and angry and she knew he wasn't dead? Or didn't think he was dead, I should say? Or did she truly, genuinely not know she hit him and she was just mad and calling him? And then, but then that's what I don't understand, that if she truly, truly was mad, thinking he went into the party, and she was calling him like that again, like, who calls their boyfriend 30-something times? Well, you think he's sitting in a house with like 4 other grown-ups. So it's just like a kind of quiet house. Him and these 4 other grown-ups and some 20-some people. And you're calling his phone 30 times in a row? You don't think that's psycho? So that's what makes me think she did. There was more of like an alibi. I don't know. It's definitely confusing, and I definitely need to see more evidence. But at this point, I also kind of feel, and I could be wrong, and maybe it'll come out differently and I'll just look at it differently. But I do sort of believe, like, from what I remember thinking and feeling and perceiving the first trial with Trooper Proctor, is that he texted some really gross stuff, and that was super inappropriate and unprofessional. And he texted with people who he should never have been texting with, and that was super gross and unprofessional. And he should be fired for those things. I think that he should be fired for that. He should be fired for discussing a suspect in a disgusting way and saying nasty things about her and all the things that I don't want to repeat, but they were gross. If you don't know what Trooper Proctor said, you can look for it on my videos. Really gross stuff. But does texting gross things about somebody who you think's a murderer, and does that make you somebody who would cover up a murder? Like, again, conflating. Like, you're dumb and you're ignorant and you don't realize that you shouldn't be texting these things, and like your phone could get confiscated in trial and people are gonna find out and like, oh, he thought that shit was private, and no, motherfucker, it ain't private, you're a cop, how do you not know this? And it was completely fireable offense, unprofessional, and what is the word, like, just trash behavior. Okay, absolutely despicable behavior. But again, how do we jump from there to, and he broke her taillight and he sprinkled it on the fucking lawn like Salt Bay, and like, one thing is not the other. Texting fucked up shit to your friends is stupid, and it's unprofessional, and it's unbecoming, and it's like crass, but it's not breaking somebody's taillight and sprinkling it on the lawn and framing a woman for murder and covering up for your friends who murdered me. Like, talk about like, in the data dump of the Celebrite from her phone, there was one little timestamp that said 2:27, but it was literally the same exact text from 6:23 and 6:24. There was another one which corresponded, and it was obvious, and that's when she was outside, and that's when she was finding John, and that's when they were doing that whole thing. And then if you look at what was she doing at 2:27? She's looking up her daughter's game for the next day and listening to It's Raining Men. And also, she just happened to be like, what was she doing? She was like, doo-doo-doo, John is dead on the lawn. Is he dead yet? Let me see. How's long he died? Is he out there suffering with a broken skull? And he's gonna die. And I'm just waiting for Karen to call me in the morning. And it's gonna be a whole big old shebang. And I'm gonna lie. I'm gonna tell them, when we all rush back there, I'm gonna tell them that she said, I hit him, which she didn't say. Like, what? I mean, Karen said things that you cannot explain away. You cannot, unless you believe in these crazy, ludicrous theories that are so out there. It's like, oh my God, the writing is so bad, the acting is bad, and the fans are bad, and oof, I unsubscribe to this drama. I think it's really tragic, and I genuinely in my heart and soul believe that if she had just from that very night said, oh my God, did I hit him? And just stuck with that and just been like distraught. You already got 5150'd. You already were like talking about you're going to kill yourself. You could have just said, could this have happened? Oh my God. And then got a plea deal. But no, here instead you're going to go to jail for 20 years. That's my prediction.
catlovedreamingpeach.com.
catlovedreamingpeach.com.
lovedreamingpeach.com.